First, we talked about a Kim Possible related theme park attraction, then we talked about the Teenage Robot movie, and now...
It's Powerpuff Girls time once again, which means we're revisiting the city of Townsville for yet another video relating to Powerpuff Girls.
Ever since 2019, I have occasionally talked about the Powerpuff Girls franchise, mainly because it was one of my childhood favorites, up there with my all-time favorite show, Ed, Edd n Eddy. The first video was on the theatrical film from 2002, which I still have fondness for. Since then, I've covered the Christmas special, 'Twas the Fight Before Christmas, two of the soundtracks, Heroes and Villains and Power Pop, one of the best episodes of the show, Bubble Vicious, and what led me to doing this review, Chemical Extraction, a fighting game based on the show for the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation 1.
That's right, because at the end of that review you said this.
Now I'm just left wondering if this is worse than that Powerpuff Girls game on GameCube, because if this was that bad, I'd hate to see how bad that one gets.
So now you actually get to play it for yourself.
Truly, I'm very elated. And of course we're talking about the GameCube version of this game because it's not like I've reviewed GameCube games based on popular franchises before. The game was released in 2002 for the GameCube and the PlayStation 2, and they planned on doing an Xbox version, but I'm assuming that didn't go through because of the bad feedback they got on the ones that actually did get made. While BAM Entertainment still put this one out, like they did with Chemical Extraction, the game was developed by a British company called Viz Entertainment, which was eventually bought out by BAM just a year later. As for what this company's made, they haven't done much on their own. Aside from those two Powerpuff-related games, the only titles I recognize they had a hand in was Earthworm Jim 3D, an Evil Dead game, and a few Tom and Jerry games. Their last game that they ever made, Brave: The Search of the Spirit Dancer, was released in 2005, and it seems they officially closed up shop in 2007. Was this game really as bad as some people said? Well, let's actually play it and find out. This is Powerpuff Girls Relish Rampage for the GameCube, and since you two are in the way, do you think one of you could put the game in and one of you could hand me a controller?
Controller? Here you go.
Thank you. Alright, so right off the bat, this is for the GameCube, and the last game was for the N64, so hopefully this one's graphics look better than the last one, right?
Oh, girls, this is very undemocratic.
Come on, girls, let's roll!
Okay, yep, that doesn't look good. Yeah, this somehow looks even more below quality than the Nintendo 64 game. I mean, just look at how stiff everyone moves and how janky the mouth movements are. This feels less like Battle for Bikini Bottom and more like SpongeBob and Tehran.
Come on now, they don't look that bad.
For what it's worth, the girls and the mayor, I would argue, are the best designs in the game, possibly because they're more rounded character designs. And then when you get to how they translated the professor, Miss Keen, and the generic background townspeople, yeah, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, well, not every game based on a hit show can have graphics as good as What's the Sitch on PS2 or Techno Tennis on Nick's old website.
As for the plot of the game, we begin on Election Day in Townsville, as it seems the only other person who's going up against the mayor is Mojo Jojo. If this seems familiar, it's because they just took the plot from a Season 1 episode in Peach Fuzz.
Though in fairness, there is a big difference between that episode and this game. In that episode, it was about Fuzzy Lumpkins running for mayor against the mayor, and in this game, it's Mojo running for mayor against the mayor. Although it is nice that they included the Mayor for Mayor slogan from the original episode.
And with that, we begin the first section of the game with a variety of mini-games. Yes, it's one of those games where you have to complete a series of tasks. And the main reason for this is because the game's story is actually broken up into 3 sections, but we'll get to those later. For now, the first half of the game involves Mojo recruiting the other villains from the show, like Princess and the Gangrene Gang, to help him use these mind control helmets to turn the townspeople into mindless apes that will vote for him. Damn, biased news media! You know what, I used that joke in the last review, so I'm not even going to do it again. So for the first half of the game, you go around trying to stop these townspeople and free them from their mind control, stop the other villains in a bunch of different boss levels, and the occasional collection stage. Like, for instance, the first thing we're supposed to do after the first cutscene stops is fly around and place these ballot boxes in specific locations. And you would occasionally get stages like this all throughout the game, like returning a bag of stolen jewels to its proper place and stuff like that. And here's where another criticism about the design comes in. Say what you will about the character models, but the layout of the town is almost like a maze in this game. Most of the time, you're going to be turning right until you eventually get to where you're supposed to go. The only difficulty you might have is the timer, but even that was pretty fair from the time I had to play it. I had to redo one of these missions like once or twice, but it's super easy once you figure out where exactly you're supposed to go.
You got stuck on one of the side missions?
Yes? Why, did you not hit any speed bumps when you first played this game?
Not really. It was all pretty easy for me, because I know Powerpuff Girls like the back of my hand. Plus, he has lots of years of experience, which really helps. Yep, I got so good at this game, I can beat it in less than an hour.
And the same could be said for the boss fights. With the Gangrene Gang, you could beat them quite easily. Just spin them around them a bunch and hit them with your laser eyes every so often. And Princess's boss fight is just kind of a glorified car chase level that isn't too hard either. Anyway, the first half of the game ends by successfully beating the bad guys and defeating Mojo with his plans of taking over Townsville.
Did I at least win the election?
Nope, you lost big time, sucker.
But how could this be? My plans for tax reform and increased spending on education and the arts were brilliant! How could he beat me?
Excuse me, I would like to know why this game is called Relish Rampage, and what's with these pickle-looking guys on the front cover, because so far it seems like that's just nowhere to be found in this game.
Well, it's funny you ask that, because here's why.
You just can't beat a free pickle.
Alien transmission intercepted.
Free pickles? Free pickles? All the people of Townsville want are free pickles!
By the almighty pickle, who is this great defender of cucumber kind?
I don't know, your Dillness. He looks like one odd pickle.
Well, at least he's green. Perhaps we have found a closer new world to colonize than our current destination, Jargar.
Oh, so the first half of the game is them trying to recreate Impeach Fuzz, and now it's like they're trying to do a recreation of Beat Your Greens, but instead of with broccoli people, it's with pickle people. Well, yeah, this is now the second half of the game, trying to stop these pickle alien guys from taking over the planet, because apparently they're trying to find a new home world. This part of the game alternates between the occasional fetch quest and boss level like before, along with escort missions and taking out as many enemies on screen. The few escort missions they have in this part of the game are okay, I guess. For what they are, they're pretty easy. These are probably some of the better parts of the game, but just barely. And I think that's mainly because in the fighting stages, the girls are barely given any difference between them. I mean, you think with a game where you could switch between 3 title characters, they give them some kind of specialized attacks to tell them all apart from one another, or even something like different health bars or something like that. I mean, Chemical Extraction was the exact same way. How did the Ed, Edd n Eddy game beat out the Powerpuff Girls game with special attacks between the 3 title characters?
Well, what do you mean? You get specialized attacks. Granted, they're more like power-ups or combo moves, but the girls are still able to do a wide variety of moves. Punch and kicks, laser eyes, spin attacks, star bomb, locking onto enemies, you name it. You just need to collect various Chemical X vials scattered all throughout the stages to access them. And be sure to use them sparingly because you can only use them 3 times before having to get more of them.
Which means if you want to access them and you run out of Chemical X, you're gonna have to drop what you're doing, fly around for a little bit, and get more. It's just a lot of multitasking.
I was all set for my mid-afternoon snack, but the cookie jar is on top of the refrigerator and I can't reach it. If you could just fly up there.
Mayor, you know too many cookies are bad for you. And speaking of bad, girls, listen, it seems Sedusa is on the loose.
And as for the boss fights, 2 of them stick out in this part of the game. First up is this mini-boss stage where you're up against Sedusa, who just kind of shows up in this game. I mean, I can appreciate them trying to go through the roster of villains from the show, but seriously, this boss level just comes right out of nowhere and lacks any real context to the rest of the game. I mean, we should be fighting alien pickle men. Why are we fighting the chick in the underwear? The other boss fight is against Mitch Mitchelson, who turns into the alien pickle queen monster after eating one of the pickles. In fairness, that does seem like something Mitch Mitchelson would do in the show, so points to them on that one. Again, this fight isn't too hard if you spam the laser eyes and occasionally bust out one of the special Chemical X attacks, but the game isn't over after that, because it seems that the guy leading the pickle alien attacks takes the mayor hostage, meaning the last half of the game has the girls team up with Mojo to stop the pickle men for good.
And this is easily the funniest part of the game. You could just tell Mojo would rather be doing anything than helping his mortal enemies, though it does make sense that they would have to work together. They already did something like that in the Season 4 episode, Fourth Kin.
Or when Mojo had to help the good guys at the end of the Super Secret Crisis War comic. And just like in Super Secret Crisis War, we actually get a reference to the Dynamo. And by that I mean the girls don their suits from when they would operate the Dynamo. The final half of the game really just has you doing a lot of running around these areas, beating the pickles for good. And once again, the day was saved thanks to the Powerpuff Girls and all their Mondo Bizarro CGI glory.
One thing you didn't go over throughout the course of this review are the differences between the GameCube and PS2 version. He has both versions of the game at home. He plays them like all the time. As far to my knowledge, there are two big differences between the GameCube and PS2 versions. The first is these collectible coins of Baby Mojo you get all throughout the stages. In the PS2 version, the more you collect, you get pictures that you can put into a scrapbook that would allow you to replay levels. This was changed in the GameCube version, so now you can just replay levels as soon as you successfully beat them. The other are these hidden toys that you can collect. In the PS2 version, there are 6 of them, whereas in the GameCube version, there is only 3. In the GameCube version, these collectible items also help you open 3 bonus levels of Powerpuff Girl reskins of classic arcade games like Pac-Man, Frogger, and Space Invader.
That was Powerpuff Girls Relish Rampage for the GameCube, and I honestly don't know how to feel about this one. Now, I went into this game expecting it to be absolutely abysmal just based on some of the written reviews, and while I wouldn't say it's a very good game, it's still certainly far from the worst game I've ever reviewed. Yes, the graphics don't look very good, and yes, the gameplay can get very tedious and repetitive after a while. In fact, in all honesty, I think I do prefer Chemical Extraction over this, mainly because I could accept some of the weaker aspects of that game, like its graphics or its lack of proper cutscenes, as being parts of the limitation of the N64. But for the GameCube, we've seen that you can do some really great licensed games for this console. Just a year after this one, we got the awesome licensed title with SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. So it's just a little disappointing that this game came out as weak as it did. All that said though, I do appreciate some of the different missions and minor signs of variety that were in this game. I don't think it's enough to make up for its flaws, but I'm trying to be as fair as I possibly can be. Buried underneath all the flaws that weigh this game down, I could see signs of effort, and maybe with some tweaking, maybe this game could have been a little better. But at the same time, this game is nowhere near as bad as like a 3 out of 10 like IGN said it was. You want to know a bad game based on a popular property? Try March of the Penguins on Game Boy Advanced. This game really sucks. You know what they should have done? Since the movie was coming out around that time, they probably should have tried making a movie-based game. Yeah, Powerpuff Girls the movie on GameCube and PlayStation 2. That could have been something, right? Oh. Well, I guess they're gone now. They show up, hijack my show, make me do a bunch of reviews of stuff based on their franchises, and then they just disappear like that.
That was fun. Yeah, it really was cool to hang out with some of your fellow reviewer friends, Pony Fanboy. Aw, shucks, guys. Glad you had fun. I bet MediaWiz sure had fun sitting through all that stuff with you guys. Yeah, and even if we disagreed on certain things, we could still agree on others. Oh, really? Like what? Like that leaked script for the CW Powerpuff reboot being terrible.
Next video is going to be before December starts, and it's going to be a quick video talking about something Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends related. Until then, I'm the MediaWiz, because 1 hour form wasn't enough.
Yes, Commander, I'm the leader. Bubbles, she is the joy and the laughter. Buttercup, and she's the toughest fighter. Powerpuff save the day. Fighting crime, trying to save the world. Here they come just in time. The Powerpuff Girls. Fighting crime, trying to save the world. Here they come just in time.
I'm a pickle! I'm Pickle Rick!